What we're going to do today is make a simple bridal bouquet. This is so easy, anybody could do it. The first thing you want to do is have all of your flowers that you're going to be using for your bouquet. And what we're going to use today, we're going to use hydrangea as our base, which we have some white hydrangea. We're going to use some white roses, and we're also using these gorgeous ranunculus. Now, these are not your normal ranunculus. These happen to be a hybrid version from Holland. They're absolutely amazing, and you very rarely find them this beautiful, but when I saw them, I could not resist. I don't know if you can tell the soft blushy color, if you can see that, but they are incredible. Not really a true white, they're just a real pale, creamy, blushy pink. And then I have some white mini callas. And when we finish the bouquet, it's going to be all mainly whites and creams and blush, but then I'll show you how to add a touch of color into it if you wanted to have a little contrasting color. And I have some little mauve mini callas as well, but I'll show you that after the bouquet is complete. And one of the things that you really want to make sure you have ready in advance is everything cleaned. So your calla lilies, they don't have leaves. The mini callas come just the way you want them. So I'm going to just line these up over here. The roses, now these have already been stripped. And when you get them from a wholesaler, they are going to have leaves and thorns on them. Not all roses have thorns, but they'll for sure have leaves. And if you're getting them in the store, like a grocery store or supermarket, they might have already stripped all the thorns off for you. But for your bouquet, you really don't want to have these leaves. They get in the way, and they're just make your handle of your bouquet bulky, and you don't want that. So I'm going to take off all the leaves, and then I'm also going to take off the guard petals. These are the little green petals you see around the outside edge. That's just a petal that is there. It protects the rose in shipping, and you want to tear those off. And it doesn't hurt the rose to take them off. So we're going to do that on all of our roses. Just take off the leaves, clean the petals, and you can see I'm just turning it with my thumb and index finger and just turn it around and take off any petal that looks like it has damage on it. So I'm just going to keep stripping these. And you want to, when you take the petal off, you want to kind of pinch it at the base with your thumb and forefinger and get all of it off. You don't want to leave, some people, you'll see when you buy roses in the grocery store, you might see where somebody takes a petal off. I don't even know how to do it, I see it, but it leaves this little extra piece on here, and that's not good. You don't want to have that. You want to just clean everything off so you have a nice, perfect bloom. So I'm just going to keep stripping all these. Taking it off. Okay, you can see on this rose, this happens where the rose separates from the hip. We don't know why it happens, it just does. It could be a perfectly good rose and they fall off at the hip. That will happen, and it's just, if you're using rose petals for something, well then you just sacrifice that one and that one goes in the petal bucket. So it doesn't mean that their roses are old, it just meant that that particular flower cracked off at the hip. Okay, I'm going to take that petal off. And this is basically kind of, sort of like with cooking, you know, getting all of your ingredients ready, your mise en place. This is getting all your mise en place of flowers ready for your bouquet. And you'll find it goes much faster and easier making your bouquet if you have all of this done ahead of time. That's super important, especially with a wedding. You want to be organized with your time. And you can see what I just did on that rose. As you go through and clean the outside petals, take a look at it from down in the top, because you might see a petal on the inside, like this one here has a little brown spot on it. I'm going to pluck that one out. And you just take those off. Now I'm going to leave maybe 3 roses with the leaves on for my outside edge of my bouquet. I may end up pulling them off in the end, I don't know, but until I get started, I'm not sure, and I'll just wait until I'm finished assembling the bouquet to decide whether I keep those or not. But I'll leave those on, just like 3 or 4 roses, I'll keep that. So those are ready. My roses are ready. Hydrangea also comes with leaves on it. I'm going to take that off because I don't want to have that greenery getting in my way as I assemble the bouquet, and they will get in the way. So you just want to pluck those off. You can use little scissors to do that if your nails aren't strong enough. You know, they really pluck off very easily. And now my ranunculus, I'm going to clean these. And they don't have too many leaves on them, but they do need to be cleaned. And you can also use these little buds. It's not a fully formed flower, but it's a tiny little bud, and sometimes that just adds character to the bouquet when you're putting it together. So you want to hang on to those. If you use them, great. If you don't, you don't. You may not need them in the end. You can decide that as you're putting your bouquet together. But I like to save those. They're just little tiny accents. Kind of break up the sameness of the bouquet if you add the bud in. So I'll save a few buds. Clean those. And as I said, these ranunculus are amazing. It's very rare that you find them that beautiful. But I have really great sources, which you can always find my suppliers on my website and on my Facebook page. So anything that you think you want to order, you can get them from the same place I do. So all that information is available on my page. So I'm going to get rid of all this. You always want to start with a nice clean work surface. You don't want to work in a bunch of junk. Okay, so now that I've got that all ready to go, I have all my different flowers cleaned and ready. So the first thing I'm going to start with is my hydrangea. I'm just going to put these 3 stems in my hand, and you just hold it. Just hold it in a bunch, just like, you know, natural, easy. You don't want to grip it. Don't clench it and squeeze it. Just hold it very lightly in your hand. And I'm just going to start by adding in my roses. This hydrangea kind of gives you your base. And you just start tucking in your roses and make your way through. Just kind of twist it through the blooms of the hydrangea. And you see now, like if you had left the leaves on, you wouldn't be able to do that. It would never get through the hydrangea. So you just keep working your way around. So I kind of started with like one in the center, and then just keep making around, you know, circle. And just keep following that circle around. So I've got that. Now I'm going to put in a few callas, and same thing, you just kind of make your way through the hydrangea and just put them in. And all the time, well, I'm really just holding this with 2 fingers. You want to hold it really lightly, softly. That way you have like air getting between your stems. You don't want to have it so tight and packed and congested. And if you hold your hand really tight and clenching it, your bouquet will kind of have that feeling as well. So just keep it loosely in your hand the best you can. Now I'm going to start adding in my ranunculus, and again let me just cut this a little bit shorter, make it easier. Let's get that through, and you just want to go a little bit in between each bloom. Just kind of twist it, work your way in. Another one in the center. I'm cutting these partly because the stems are crooked. If it's crooked on the bottom, it's going to be hard to get it into your bouquet where you want it. So just cut that crooked part off. You can see on this one, the stem is kind of curved. I'm just cutting that off. So now I'm getting to kind of be towards the outside of my bouquet where I don't have to go through the hydrangea. I can just keep adding the stems in just on the outside. Now keep in mind, ranunculus has a very brittle stem. So you really don't want that to be something you're squeezing down on and putting pressure on. So in the end, when you tie off this bouquet, try to put a rose stem over your ranunculus stem. That way when you tie it off, the thick stem of the rose can take the pressure of the rubber band and the ribbon that you're putting on. So here I'm just getting to the last outer bits. I'm going to add in this rose, and I'm thinking I don't need that leaf, so I'm pulling it off. And then I'm going to do another one here, and just keep making a circle and just keep turning it in your hand. So you might have to make some adjustments just to make sure you have everything where you want. So this is pretty close to being done. I'm going to add in a few more calla lilies in between. And again, you just have to keep tucking that in between the hydrangea blooms, and you'll have to kind of twist it in to work its way down. And as you get more stems in, it gets a little bit more difficult to put your stems through, but just, you know, do it, kind of twist it around, and it'll make its way eventually down, and then you can catch it in your hand. So there we go. Now I could stop here and have this bouquet all white and cream and blush, but if I wanted to add a little bit of texture to it, I can go in and add these little green buds. I kind of like it the way it is. If I wanted to put in a little green accent, these are a cute way of doing that. You could just add those in between. I'm going to leave it like this. And then if you wanted to have an accent color, let's say your wedding is white and lavender, then I have these little lavender calla lilies, and I just do the same thing. I just take my calla lily stem and kind of work it through and twist it around until it gets through all my other stems, and then I just add in calla lilies. I'm going to finish this off as an all white and cream bouquet, but you see where I'm going with it. Anyway, now I have all these stems in my hand, and what I'm going to do is take my clippers and cut it to the length that I want. You want it to be about, you know, if you're going to hold it with two hands, you want it to be about 2 hands length. So that's kind of how I gauge it. So that means I'm going to cut it off right about here. And just take your clippers, cut them all the same length. And then I just use a rubber band. Some florists, you know, try to wrap tape onto it. It's really hard to hold on to, especially when you're not used to doing it. So I just put a rubber band around a few times. So, work, you know, just press it up to the top. And that way your stems will all stay together. And if you need to make any adjustments to the stems, you still can. You don't want to make your rubber band so tight that you can't shift things around. But that's pretty good like that. And then now I'm going to show you how to finish it off. And that's really easy. We're going to take this ribbon. I'm going to use 3 yards of ribbon, which you just take your ribbon, it's 3 yards long, fold it in half, and take right in the center of your ribbon and wrap it around your stems. So I'm just going to go around one complete time and then come back up to here. I'm going to tie that in a knot. And that's just going to secure my ribbon in place. Then I'm going to take this and do kind of a wrap, just a crisscross, where I'm going to wrap my stems and twist the ribbon around itself, and you'll see when I come back around. So I'm coming back up and I'm twisting that ribbon around itself. And then I go back around and I do the same twist in the back, and I come back around to the front and do the same twist in the front, and then I repeat that again in the back, wrap it around, twist it, come back to the front, wrap it around, go back, and now I'm going to finish it off down here. And again, I'm going to tie it in a knot. Now, at this point, you can either make a little bow and put it up at the top, or you can have it be a little bit different and make your bow at the bottom. And it's just simple to just tie it like you would tie your shoes. Basically just tying a simple shoestring bow. And then I'm going to trim this off at the base. Now, satin ribbon is slippery and it does come undone. So how you want to keep that from happening is to take a pin and put it through your knot. And I'm just using a corsage pin, and this is going to be, you got to work your way in a little bit. And just make sure that you go up at an angle. You want to go up into your stems so that your sharp end of your pin goes into the stems where it's not going to come out and stick you in the back. So you don't want to have that happen. And you can actually go along and put a little pearl pin on all your knots if you want to. Not, you don't have to, but it's just a nice little accent if you wanted to just put a pearl everywhere that your twist is. It's just a little extra finishing touch. And again, if you wanted to put a bow, you could take some more ribbon and make a bow up here. I kind of like to have the bow at the bottom because your hand is up here where you're carrying the bouquet, and this way you can see that at the base. So there you go, a little bridal bouquet.